So we got to talk about Bill Maher, who we all know when it comes to Donald Trump, he's not a huge fan of Donald Trump. He doesn't like the way he talks. He doesn't like the way he acts. He just doesn't. He has a lot of negative things to say about Donald Trump. But in this video, I'm about to show you, and I think this is a pre-meeting with Trump, so he hasn't met Trump in this video yet. But in this video, he talks about how the one thing he does like about Donald Trump is the fact that he does show strength. Right? When he walks into the room, we know he's the alpha dog, right? He is that guy, right? He is the number one person and everyone knows it. And he compares this to the Democrat Party where, they don't have that strong leader, right? You look at the people, if you would have asked like who's the face of the Democratic Party, you would be like maybe, Kamala Harris, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Tim Walz is making his rounds around the way. And when you look at that party, none of that exudes masculinity. It doesn't exude strength. Okay, and it has, and you wonder why so many young men are leaving the Democratic Party over to the Republican Party, because when you're talking about young men, they're looking for someone that's strength, and especially when you look at the last 4 years of Biden, where he didn't show strong leadership, and a lot of Americans are looking for strength, and Donald Trump brings that quality. Okay, and he makes this comparison. He talks about how the Democrat Party needs to find their alpha. They need to find someone that has that same type of level of strength and level of energy. And obviously, when it comes to the Democrat Party, we know they lack that. So we'll listen to this clip, and then I'll share my thoughts afterwards.
There's a couple of times when, look, I've been his biggest critic for good reason. And when he got reelected, I said, I'm not going to pre-hate anything. And then the first week I said, well, there's lots of things I hate because I do. Okay, there's some things I don't hate also, but the way he can do that and sometimes kind of make me go, oh man, I got to give it up. Like when he did that thing where the guy came in from the Taliban and he said, this is an aerial picture of your house. If during our withdrawal, one American is hurt, just know I know where you live. I was like, oh, can we just play the music now? Because I don't care. It's Donald Trump and he's the worst person ever, blah, blah, blah. I fucking love that. Mm-hmm. One time they were doing something was going on with, and he said, you know what? When you come after New York, you got to go through me. It's like, oh, hometown boy. He has those moments that no other politician has. And the Democrats have to find that guy.
They need a message, and then you find you find the messenger. No, but that's how it works for Trump.
That's the worst thing. The Democrats always say, message, message. Yeah, first of all, they did, and they don't like it. Second of all, they don't give a shit. It's not about the message. Trump changes his message from day to day. Tariffs everywhere. Tariffs nowhere.
Those are policy
it doesn't
decisions.
Matter. But they don't care about policy.
Look, I'll say this: they're both right. Right, message is important. Right, you obviously want to be able to communicate, what you're talking about. However, Bill Maher also is talking about how that's not what's important, and I think for a lot of people, especially for Trump supporters, like of course his policies work. We love his policies. We understand that, the border, talking about taxes. We all understand, like when it comes to his policies, we know we want to vote we want Donald Trump because of that. However, there's something else about Donald Trump, and one thing I've learned about Donald Trump is that when you hear him talk, right? When you hear him talk, the one thing I think a lot of people respect, obviously we know he's tough and he shows strength, is that you believe what he's saying, right? You believe that when he's speaking about America, that he actually cares about America, right? He's not just a politician talking, America this, America this. When he talks about America, you believe that he actually cares about America, and he also cares about Americans, okay? And he wants America to win. And that's why he puts American first. And then when you actually see him get into office, then he puts everything that he talked about, he's actually implementing. That just further brings the support that a lot of people have for Donald Trump. And not only that, but the man survived 2 assassination attempts, indictments, getting mugshots, the attacks from the left, and he stood tall through all of that. There's no way people are not gonna get behind that. That is the level of strength. A lot of people are like, you know what? That's what I want in my leader. That's exactly what I want. Okay. And you got to understand something, like we live in a times where, masculinity is demonized, right? Being masculine is a bad thing. right? You can see how they're trying to feminize everything. And the fact that Trump shows that is like, because we admire that. Look at women admire strong men, right? Women admire strong men, and men want to be like that. Like everyone gravitates to the strong masculine man. It's because you want that person to be the one that leads, because it's just something that is innate in all of us. Women flock to strong male leadership, and men want to actually be that male leadership, right? They want to be that person. And when Trump comes in and he talks, people feel it, right? And I think this is a book that I have where it calls 16 laws of communication. And one of the things is like to be an effective communicator, right? One of the things that you have to actually believe what you say. You got to believe in what you're talking about. And we know that we live in a time where many people lie about what they say and people fall for it. But I think it's so much harder to do that now, especially with the internet. Okay, because if any politician comes out here and starts talking nonsense, you're gonna go to your favorite YouTuber person on the internet and hear what they have to say about this person and come to a conclusion based on that. Do your research, and you hear your YouTuber talk about Gavin Newsom, right? Gavin Newsom had that interview with Charlie Kirk, and there was just so much nonsense, right? The whole thing with the Latinx, and then even CNN fact checked them, and every other person out there called him off, said that, all right, this is clearly a lie. And it's hard to lie now, especially with the internet, right? And what people are looking for, especially in this content creation space, they want authenticity. And there's no one that can deny one thing about Donald Trump is that he is authentic. He is him. This is why he's able to get away with the things that he says. And also helps because he's funny. But he is him, and that's him. Like, it's got to a point where it's like, hey, you know what? That's Trump. Like, we've already accepted it. Okay? And when he communicates, when he talks about, he actually believes the thing he said. Not to say he doesn't embellish things and stuff like that, but when he's talking about America, every American believes it. Well, especially his supporters believe that he actually believes it. He cares about America and he cares about Americans. And this is why he gets so many people to support. And everything he's been through during that campaign, there's just no way people are not going to not back him up. All right. So let's hear what else they got to say.
I don't understand it. His message is, I'm me, I'm strong, and I'm daddy. They're on this daddy thing, and people want a daddy. Tucker Carlson, that whole thing, you've heard that thing about daddy came home and you need a spanking. I'm like, this is getting a little weird, Mrs. Robinson. Daddy, but you know what? That's what works, and that's what people respond to. They don't know the issues. They don't know the facts. And they have no interest in learning about them. They're like an animal. They're instinctive. Like, I smell fear or I smell alpha. And they smell alpha. And Democrats have to come up with an alpha. And it's not Tim Walz.
No, probably not.
And it's not the other Tim who ran.
Kane?
Tim Kane. These are not alphas. It's like this thing of like, let's get a woman and then a docile man who's in every commercial where he's the asshole while mom takes care of business. That's not a message that makes the tribe go, who is strong? Who's strong? Who's strong? Tim Walz. No. Give me rock. I need to kill myself because Tim Walz. That you gotta appeal to people at a sort of post-civilization stage where we're kind of at on a primal level. You just do. And Trump does it better than anybody.
Trump does.
One thing I'll disagree with Bill Maher is he said that, people don't want to educate themselves. As someone that used to be on the left, that was a left supporter, I will say that's more so for the left than it is for the right. Okay, and I'm not just saying that because now I'm a supporter on the right. As someone on the left, you get most of your messaging from the news, mainstream media. All right, it's like CNN, MSNBC, and you never did your research. However, when I listen to people on the right now, I hear people that actually take the time to actually understand policy. Right? And not to say that this is for everyone on the right, because let's be honest, like a lot of people don't have the time to really research so many things, right? You're busy working, right? And they know, and the mainstream media knows this, right? They know the common person doesn't have time, right? They're going to work. They gotta, tend to the kids, they gotta tend to their spouse. So they don't really have time to really like get all the information. So, but when it comes to like when it comes to quality of information, like as someone that used to be on the left, man, it's a cult. Like it's whatever CNN, MSNBC tells them, and they just regurgitate the same thing. Because if you had a person on the right and a person on the left debate, you could tell the person that clearly doesn't have, they just regurgitating things, and the person as opposed to the other person that actually has done some research and study and actually knows what's going on. Like the left never wants to debate someone on the right because they're just regurgitating the same message that they've heard from mainstream media. So I'll disagree with them on that. But like overall, like look, when you're looking at the Trump, like we know he's a person that shows strong leadership. Even for myself, like I voted for him for the first time in 2020, and the reason why I did is because during the pandemic I asked myself this question, like, why do I hate this man so much? Like, why don't I don't like the way he acts, but why? So I sat myself down and I listened to all his press conferences every day during the pandemic. And I would listen to what he had to say, full context, the full interview, and then I would go on CNN, MSNBC, and they would totally distort what he said. I was like, yo, he didn't say that. Like, he didn't say any of that. Like, it's clearly a lie. And then I started to catch on to the mainstream media and their lies. And then the more I listened to Trump, I was like, well, first of all, he's a funny guy, and two, it's just like, all right, I like what he's saying, and he's not as bad as I thought he was. And then the more I listened to him, I came to the decision. You know what? I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to vote Republican for the first time, and it's going to be for Donald Trump. And ever since then, the more I've listened to him, the more I've heard him speak, and the more I've gotten used to him, it's just like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I want to see strength. The Democrat Party is clearly they are not catering to the man. They're not. They're putting a lot of women forward. They're putting a lot of effeminate men. That doesn't seem like a party that, of course, and now also they're bad. They have really had bad ideas, but it wasn't a party that I said, you know what, I want to be a part of. Right. So, and I think a lot of people are coming to that realization, like, yeah, you guys are not catering you're not appealing to me as a man, right? You have zero masculine energy. So I'm just going to go over there where I see there's leadership qualities there. And you can see that Bill Maher's talking about the same thing. He said that, hey, if Democrats want to ever win, these general elections, they're going to have to find someone that's that alpha. But we all see it. That's not what they want. They don't want leadership. You can see who they're talking about. They're talking about AOC leading the Democrat Party. They want that party to be run by a lot of women, and that's the direction they want to go. All right, and they're gonna have to see if it works for them. Okay, so it's interesting to hear Bill Maher say that, and it's interesting. I'm interested to see like what he's gonna talk about after meeting with Trump, because I don't think I've seen anything where he spoke about that yet. But I guess we'll wait and see. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit the like button, share, and if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe. All right, so guys, take care. Have a good one. Later.